Catwoman number 4.
Hmm.
Joëlle Jones doing the double duty as per usual. Um,
Well, yeah, somewhat because there's the flashback story with art
oh,
by
Blanco, right?
yeah Fernando Blanco.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
Um, so and there's a lot of
but
its flashbacks, admittedly. It's a very flashback heavy book.
yeah,
This one.
but Blanco's art style complements Jones's very well to where unless you're really thinking about it, it
Mm.
feels like she just changed up her style for a flashback. But um, yeah. So did you ever read the Brubaker Catwoman stuff, where
Eh,
this is drawing from?
Nah, it's on the to-do list. Because
Okay.
there's those stick trades they've got out of it that you can get now.
Yeah.
It's on the purchase list at some point, but I have
Yeah, because
not.
I haven't either, but I know of it because of how shocking it was when it happened. Um, so, and you know, for those that don't know, it goes into it here, and we'll talk about it. I don't want to give that away too soon.
Yeah, I mean, a big
But
part of this book is kind of telling what happened to her sister. Like, what is the
yeah,
backstory here? Why is she in this place? Why is she
uh,
so messed up? It's because Black Mass, to get to Catwoman, first got her sister's husband and killed
mhm.
him, and then did this to her. You know, so
Yeah, like we're talking like stuff from Hostel, uh, to poor what's her sister's name?
Maggie, how about that?
Uh, Maggie. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, no, it was super dark, and as someone who's not read that stuff and is, I mean, only vaguely aware of some of it,
Yeah.
it was like, oh, okay, right, okay, they give me a good sense because they have to, because Joelle Jones had to explain this because
Yeah.
a lot of people reading this will not have read that stuff because it's a little bit older
Right.
now.
Well, yeah, yeah, I had forgot, not that I forgot it happened, but I had put it out in my mind that it
Mm.
had happened. And then the sister showed up at the end of the last when she goes to talk to her and she's catatonic. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that means those events have happened, you know?
Yeah,
So,
it's one of those
and we're
things
gonna go
where
there.
it's like it's obviously old things have happened still, and you remember you're expected to remember things that from like Superman and Batman and Green Lantern. But the difference
Yeah,
is that I feel like in those books when it's something big from a long time ago that's still meant to have happened, it's referenced every so often that you know it's always happened. Like it's always brought up
yeah,
again. Like the death of Superman's brought up every so
right.
often. Um,
Batman breaking his back.
yeah, every so often it's mentioned. Whereas I
Yeah.
feel like this backstory with Catwoman's sister hasn't been mentioned in a long time.
No, and
So
and that's why I kind of spaced out on it. You know,
yeah,
it's up there with Selena getting knocked up by Slam Bradley's son, and Holly taking over as Catwoman for a little bit. You know,
yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, that happened at one point, but you forget about it because DC seems to want to get away from that era. So you know, but yeah, I like the Jones exploring their relationship as kids. How basically her sister Maggie was the quote good one, and Selena was kind of the bad one. But they're like a yin and yang. You know, they rely on each other, and that Selena has this protective streak that gets them into trouble, but Maggie has this forgiveness, and that no matter how bad Selena breaks, Maggie's always there to catch her. And I feel like this issue really touched on what makes that work
Yeah, and
and how.
of course,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
the idea is that she that you just said that whenever no matter how
Yeah,
much she falls, Maggie's there to catch her. The idea that after the wedding, this is her falling. She's in free fall, and that's why she's came
right,
to her sister because she needs to be catched.
right.
She's seeking that out. My favorite part of the book was probably the extended Halloween sequence where there are
Of
kids and Selena's still in the
course.
costumes, and there's this kid being bullied, and Selena has to intervene, and she ends up pulling out a gun, and she's still a kid at this point. It's worth mentioning.
Right. So
Um,
yeah,
uh,
so like 11, 12
uh,
ish.
and of course Maggie's like, "Why'd you have a gun? Like you could have killed him." And she stares down the guy, and she really threatens to shoot him. And he's sort of like, "No, you're not going to shoot me." He's like, "Oh, do you really want to test me? You really want to do that?" It's a really effective sequence. It's definitely probably the longest sequence in the book, and I think that's probably why
Yeah,
it's the most effective because it's jumping around a lot of things up until that point. Just glimpses here or there, and then the big thing at the end, of course, is that one of the doctors is from the Creel family.
yeah,
He's there to take care of her. So that family, and obviously that's who we've been dealing with as the villains. They are monitoring her sister for some reason. They are not even just monitoring;
well,
they're drugging her up. They're giving her stuff.
yeah. They're keeping her catatonic, which we
Yeah.
thought like, oh well, no, she's just catatonic from the trauma of what Black Mass did. But now it seems there's more to it. Like they're actively gunning for Selena.
Yeah, and because the last panel of the book is Selena's eyes just sort of like, like going like evil,
Furrowing.
just like, yeah, like I'm
Yeah.
coming for you, dickheads. I'm going to find out what you're
Yep.
doing, and I'm going to scratch your eyes out because I'm the
Mhm.
goddamn Catwoman.
Yep. That's what
Is,
she does.
is basically the thing. Um,
Yep.
but yeah, like you say, the art's very good, even though it is not necessarily Jones for a lot of it, but
Yeah.
it's flashback, so it works quite well. And like you say, his style does complement hers enough that it
Hmm.
doesn't feel like that much of a shift. It's just enough
Yeah.
where it feels like, oh no, it's a flashback, so it should be simpler,
Yeah.
kind of
And
thing.
and I feel like she's handling that well because she knows as she's writing, she's not gonna be able to draw every issue fully. So I
Mm.
like that she's telling these stories in flashbacks. Because the last one, we got the main bad guy. I forget her name, Mrs. Krill. We got her backstory, and it was
Yeah,
handled in kind of the same way by a different artist. So I like that she's. It feels like it's hitting a rhythm now. I was very
yeah,
skeptical about this book, but I'm enjoying it through 4 issues.
yeah. I think it's starting to find its feet a little bit because I remember the first issue or two not
Hmm.
feeling as maybe as special as we were expecting them to, because you're like,
Yeah,
oh, Joelle Jones is doing a Catwoman, but it's going to be amazing. And it was just a little bit bumpier than I think we were expecting.
yeah,
There was a lot of things to like about them, but and I think after issue 3, I said, I'd come to accept that I enjoy this book, but it's not going to be the thing I was looking forward to every month like I thought it was going to be. And I still
yeah,
kind of feel that way, but I do think this is probably the strongest issue of the four.
yeah. I think so because I mean, and a lot of it plays off of that dynamic with the sisters and Selena.
It's more
You
personal.
know,
There's more emotion in it, and
yeah,
I think that's why it works better.
yeah, definitely. So I feel the same way. I like. I mean, as much as I like the last issue, this one resonated a little bit better. So
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, what are you giving it, Matt?
Oh, this is an 8 as well. So we talked about the art. I feel like the art
Yeah.
does a lot of heavy lifting, like in some of the other issues, but that story really drives it home. Actually, 8.5. I'm gonna bump it up because
Oofed.
that makes more sense. Yeah, 8.5.
See, I'm scared again. I just said this was the best one, and I'm scared I'm going to give this a score, and someone's going to go back to a previous episode and go, "Hey,
Yeah,
you rated issue one higher than this."
yeah, but that's what happens when you add ratings.
Yes, ratings are like a river; they are fluid.
Yes.
Now I'm gonna go with 7.5. I think it's good. I think it's
All
getting
right.
better. I think it's finding its feet. I
Mhm.
think getting the emotional connection is a big deal here, which I think because there was some of that, of course, like seeing her like feel the pain of the wedding and what she's going
Yeah,
through was there, but this adds a more personal kind of stake to the fight and what the villains are doing, which I
definitely.
think ups the story a bit.